Welcome to Without Regret, the podcast. This podcast is for people who are looking for inspiration to overcome obstacles in life and want to see that it is possible to live your best life and become successful, whatever that means to you, regardless of your circumstances. Hear from me and my guests as we share our stories of perseverance. My name is Tamara, and I'm the host of Without Regret, the podcast. In this captivating episode, we saddle up for a remarkable journey with Shane Jacob, a true cowboy at heart. Shane's story begins on a sheep ranch in central Utah, where riding horses was simply a way of life. After high school, he ventured into the world of rodeo, embracing the thrill of the cowboy lifestyle. However, in 1992, Shane's path took an unexpected turn as he relocated to Las Vegas and embarked on a new professional venture, shoeing horses. Over the past 30 years, he's built a rich tapestry of experiences in the equestrian world, from starting and training colts to breeding and showing horses. However, beneath these accomplishments lies a more profound story. Shane battled alcoholism for over 24 years, a personal struggle that has shaped his journey and deepened his commitment to personal growth. Fast forward to 2021, Shane, with an incredible team, introduced the world to the Horsemanship journey. This groundbreaking platform has quickly become a trailblazer in personal development for horse enthusiasts. It's a place where the age-old wisdom of great horsemen meets a proven system accessible to anyone interested in pursuing excellence. At the core of Shane's message is the belief that every individual's worth is immeasurable, irrespective of their past actions. He fervently asserts, continually working on improving our self-image isn't a good idea. It is our duty to God, to ourselves, and to every other person we interact with, because we are only able to make positive contributions to others to the degree we feel positive about ourselves. Shane's mission is clear: to enrich people's horse experiences and infuse greater happiness into their lives by encouraging them to live with purpose, on purpose. As the founder of the Horsemanship Journey, a certified life coach, professional horseman, and author, Shane Jacob is on a mission to help you unearth your full potential. Join us for an episode filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the powerful notion that the best is yet to come. Shane's journey is an invitation to embark on your very own horsemanship journey, where self-discovery and personal growth are just a hoofbeat away. Awesome. Well, hi, Shane.
Hi there. Nice to be here. Appreciate you have me.
Yeah, appreciate you being a willing guest.
Right on. Well, where do we begin?
We can begin. So let me just kind of give you the premise of my podcast. I know you probably read a little bit about it on Podmatch, but so I like to have my guests come on and kind of tell us a little bit about themselves and the struggles that they've overcome, and then, how they overcame them, what that pivotal turning point was, some advice for the listeners that might be struggling, and then kind of tell us about your current situation and what you've got going on now. So if you want to just start with kind of your background, your wherever your struggle started. I think with you, it was alcoholism. Do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about that and maybe what led up to that?
Okay, yeah, sure. So, I thought that I had this great upbringing, like everything was hunky-dory, perfect. I couldn't see anything out of the abnormal, and I still believe that to this day. When I was a young man, a teenager, in my teens, and even into my early 20s, I didn't really know it at the time, but I had these thoughts I didn't really have the awareness, but looking back, I had these thoughts that I'm not saying I don't quite match up. Something's missing. I think a lot of young people struggle with a lack of confidence in who we are and where we fit in, but it seemed like, and maybe it was true because I believed it was true, that it was more, that there was just something lacked something. I just wasn't the same as everybody else. I didn't really know how to deal with this. And so when I was introduced to alcohol, it was a way out of all this. It was a piece. I mean, we all do negative behavior or buffering, whatever it is. And we think about things that have an ability to have a tremendous negative impact on our lives, all the things that we choose to do, not necessarily that happen to us, but that we choose to do. Gambling, overeating, drinking, drugs, porn, whatever these things are that we do, we get a gain from it. That's why we do it. We're not, we do it to get the gain. We get a relief, so we get a plus. So I got the plus, and I felt better. I felt accepted. I felt like I could, I don't know, like I fit in more, I guess. And so I would get this, so that's just kind of what happened. So alcohol became pretty appealing, and then and more appealing and more appealing. And I kept finding my way out of any really negative feelings through drinking. And as a result, I caused in a DUI accident, people to get hurt permanently. I spent a lot of jail, and I spent over 20 years. Okay, I spent over 20 years with 2 days. So I want to say 22 to 23 years with 2 days as an exception that I did not overdrink. And both of those days I was hospitalized. When I mean overdrink, at the end when I quit drinking, I was drinking 22 to 30 beers every 24 hours. So I began with a 6-pack and then a 12-pack. And for the last several years, it was more than what you'd call a case of beer, 24 bottles, 24 beers a day. Okay, so, and I did this, like I said, I was 100%er. I mean, a super high achiever when it comes to being consistent, did not miss any days except for 2 out of over 20 years. So I'm serious. I mean, this is a serious addiction. I mean, I'd wake up and I couldn't ride. I could just feel the impact. But the whole time this is happening, so this developed into a habit and it progressed and it got worse. I didn't even realize around me, everything's disintegrating. I really didn't know it. The relationships I had were suffering. My work was suffering. Everything around me was, when I was in it, I really didn't know. I really couldn't feel it. I couldn't see the impact. I could see things here and there, but I still felt like I was holding everything together because I was working every day. I was, it seemed like I was being worthwhile. I was married at the time. I had a 17-year marriage. And so somewhere in my mind, I'm holding this together, but unbeknownst to me completely, I didn't completely know that my soul is just chipping away day by day, because really the things that mattered the most, which are my relationship with myself, my relationship with God, and my close relationship with my wife and my kids and everything, were just slowly disintegrating to nothing. And when I begin with myself, what I mean by that, Tammy, is that I would wake up for a large number of years. I'd wake up in the morning, and it got to be later and later and later in the day before I'd actually just get up and go to work. In the end, I was lucky to get up before 11 a.m. to go to work every day. And so I'd get up and I'd say inside my head, I would say, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. This is wrong. Something's wrong. It's gnawing on the inside of my head all the time, but it would be the strongest when I would first wake up in the morning, and because I'd be mostly sober, and I'd have the effects of all this drinking and like I said, and I'd be a little shaky and things like this. And then a few hours later, I'd just start the process again. I'd go back to get the gain, whatever I was missing out of habit. I didn't really, so I just continued to do this. And when you live inconsistent with what you know to be true, it takes a toll on your character, on your soul. You just kind of keep chipping away at who you believe you are and what kind of a person that you believe you are. And that's a hard thing to handle, the more repetitive that you do this, and that I did this. So those are some of the things and some of the places that got me. I think that as I've counseled people and I've seen myself and other people in different type of addictions, or just any kind of really negative behavior, it doesn't even have to be this extreme as mine or others. And I'm not saying I get the extreme award, but I was a serious drinker for more than a couple of decades. And but we do it for the gain, like I mentioned. And so when you look at it, I think that the reason really that we do negative behavior is because a lot of times the one of the biggest things, probably the biggest thing in life is that we really struggle with our worthiness. Like, are we good enough? To some degree, everything kind of comes back to the way that we view ourselves. And I've come to believe that that is probably the most important thing that we can accomplish, is to have just a super positive image about who we are. Because when we don't believe that we're good enough, or that we're worthy enough, or that something's a little bit wrong with us, or we're this or we're that we don't match up, that we don't measure up, that we're not valuable enough, or that this will all be the way things are, that's the way things are. I mean, we create that, and then we go on and it affects and that becomes our whole lifetime, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, because if you have the awareness, you can come to realize that it's a choice. It's a choice how I feel about me and how you feel about you. And that's the beginning of turning this thing around. And then it just comes to making the decision. In my mind, it just comes to make, we say things, you've heard people quit smoking or quit bad habits for years. Like, oh yeah, I quit smoking for 5 years. I'm like, you did? And you went back, and I would hear all these stories, the same thing about people with other addictions. So I quit drinking for, X amount of years. And then, as they're back there with a gallon of whiskey and they're back at it again. And, it's not a resolve when you do it that way. That's, really, I don't even think that you have a relapse if you're resolved inside your head. And I think that the actual quitting or the stopping negative behavior, really, it's the prep. Like my analogy is like painting a house or any painting job. The work in painting is the prep, and is the prep, throwing the paint down, like a kid can almost do that, but it's the prep. And if you want to change a negative behavior, it's the prep and the resolve inside your head. It begins with two things in my experience, and the people that in my experience, and that is coming to realize that I am as valuable of a soul as any soul in this world. And no matter what I've done, no matter what I've done, it's forgivable. It doesn't, what I've done and who I am, I need to separate, because I've done some pretty shitty things. You know what I'm saying? And maybe some of us have too, but that doesn't make me a shitty value. That I'm an equal value as you and every other soul on this planet. If I can come to understand that to begin with, then I can accept that maybe who I am is not somebody who participates in negative behavior. Maybe I'm not that kind of a person. And once I make that resolve and make that decision inside my head, then the actual non-doing the behavior is as simple as picking up a Coke instead of picking up a bottle of beer or a shot of whiskey or whatever. That's pretty simple. It's just you pick up one or the other. Really, the work is right here, and I believe that it begins with those two things.
So when you say go to work and you weren't able to ride, were you riding horses at that time that you were drinking?
Oh boy. You just can't do anything. What I was making reference to is I couldn't write, but you want to talk about riding horses. My whole, I ride and shoe horses. I don't know how I can even survive with the, because horses can be dangerous. They're over 1,000 pounds and they have their own minds. And one of my job is to help develop horses is one of the things I've done. And so just working and being around horses with all the things that happens can be just dangerous on a good day. And when your reaction time is slowed, I mean, I think God just saved me. You know what I'm saying? Because there's, for so many reasons, I shouldn't have even been able to survive all the experiences and the near misses that I had with riding and just working on horses. Like I said, I'm a farrier. We handle their feet. That's where they kick. And so, it could be pretty dangerous. So for whatever reason, and hopefully it's that hopefully there's somewhere, if my message helps one person do something, that they're able to make a shift in their life, and that they realize that their value is just immeasurable, and that they are able to experience a better life as a result of that, then I think that's good enough.
I think that's fantastic to know. Yes. And that's kind of my goal, is to help people know that, that I have had so many people now on that have all these different experiences of things that they've had to endure, whether by choice, such as alcohol. I say by choice. You made the choice to take the first drink, right? So that was a choice that you made, not something that was done to you, but to experiences that people have had, that they've had something happen to them that they didn't really have control over. That no matter what those things are, you can take control back of your life and become a successful, happy, more important than anything, happy human being. So what was your turning point? When did you decide that enough was enough, and how did you quit? Was it AA?
Yeah, good question. So there was I had a near miss with a DUI, and again, and it was just enough for me to have, at the time it was in 2015, and had the law involved in my life again, and I was approaching 50 years old, and I'd been thinking about it. I'd been working on it. I didn't totally have the awareness that I do today in retrospect, but I had been thinking about it. And after that event with the law in the summer of 2015, for a lot of months, every day I would think about this, and I was made the decision. I even told my brother, I said, I'm getting ready to make a change. And it took me a long time to think about it. And that was the most difficult part, because I didn't realize it, but I wasn't doing anything different. But every day I was starting to see myself, could I do this? And I didn't know if I could, because I was physically, my body craved, I was addicted in every way to alcohol. I didn't know if I could do it, but I could see myself as a person that didn't drink anymore. And as I began to see myself this way, and I decided, I didn't know for sure if I could do it, but I knew I was going to give it. I knew I had a little bit of staying power. So I decided, and I plotted and planned, and on the second Saturday in January of 2016, my brother and I were coming back from a horseshoeing clinic and seminar in California. We're driving back, and it was every other day. It was the same day for me that it had been for 20 plus years. I started about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, drank, we stopped, he drove, and we stopped again. I bought another box of beer, and I drank all the way home, probably went to bed at 12 or 1 o'clock. But I'd been thinking about this day, and the next day I got up and I drove myself to a detox place, that was interesting for me. I hadn't been to a detox place before. I drove myself in there, I checked myself in, they took my phone, they took all my stuff, and there I was. And I stayed there for 2 days, and they medically kind of watched me so I didn't have a convulsion or whatever. They will take you off alcohol, because alcohol can be pretty, you can have a seizure and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I was pretty worried about that at that point. And 2 days later, I went on, and I drove out of that detox I stayed there 2 nights. So the third day I drove out of that detox, and I drove to an AA meeting. And I believe in AA. AA is a good, super good resource. It's surrounding yourself with people that don't drink, and it can help you work on your mind for sure. I went to some AA meetings over the course of the next few months, and then they got further and further to where I don't go to AA anymore. It's not because I don't believe it. I have one thing with AA, and I understand that they say that they believe that you're an alcoholic, or you're or that you're an addict for, my name's Shane and I'm an addict. And so it's good to realize this so that you're protected from moving back into that. But in my mind, that's who I was. And so I'm, like I said, I totally believe in AA and I participated in Alcoholics Anonymous. But I have one little difference, and that is that my name's Shane and I was an alcoholic, and today that's a part of my past. I mean, it's long gone, and it's something that's just what I was, because personality isn't permanent. I may have came into this planet with things that I picked up from my environment that came to me, or it may just been my genes that were given to me, that I may have a tendency to a different types of addiction. But you know what? Those are still between that tendency and what happens is my choice, and so I am responsible for that. And so in my world, and at the Horsemanship journey and the book I'm working on, the One Horse Race, it's about two major concepts that I believe that if we just two, it's really simple, but they're big, huge concepts. And that is our view of ourselves, so our self-image. If we value ourselves, and if we really embrace that and believe it, and the way it begins with the way that we talk to ourselves, oh shit, I'm such an idiot, that begins with stuff like that. Our self-talk of how we and then our thoughts behind that begins with developing this relationship with ourselves, where we really value ourselves. It's like, some people can't even say that, I like myself, I love you, you are a badass, or high five yourself in the mirror, because that just feels so uncomfortable and wrong. But if you develop a relationship with yourself where you truly believe that it doesn't have anything to do with what you've done. It has to do with your value as a living soul on this planet. And then the second one is personal responsibility, which basically just means, this is also a huge concept, but it just the idea is that really it doesn't matter what I learned or what happened to me or what my tendency is or whatever. What really matters is, between all that is my choice. And really between that is my thought about what happened. That's going to drive an emotion that's going to give me an action that I'm going to do, which is going to equal my result. And the more that I can come to know and believe and really understand that I am fully responsible for myself, for my happiness, for my unhappiness, for my bad decisions. When I understand that, then it gives me the power to move forward. And as different phases of personal responsibility, where we're just like, well, I'm this way, well, my family this way, well, this happened, and none of that really matters. If you just leave that aside and focus on yourself, is where you have the power to say, well, what can I do? When you take that responsibility, then we're on the way. So I'm going to just circle back real quick to your original question, is how did I get out of there? And so I just stepped each day. I went to AA for a while, and I just kept saying no, and I just kept walking past it. And you know why it worked? I never went back. And that was from 2016, and I won't. You can mark my words, I won't. That was January 2016, and it's not because it's not who I am anymore. That's a part of my past. And the reason that I was able to step and step and step, and the reason I won't have a relapse and haven't, is because it's not who I am. It's not who I believe I am. It's who I believe that I was. And the mental prep for the months and the years that it took, because the thing of it is I watch people, you do too. You watch them, it's like so sad to see people like disintegrate their lives. And we look at them and it's like, oh my gosh, your teeth are falling out. You're getting sores all over your body, or, you're in jail again, or whatever the case may be. And you're just watching this. And it's just like, God, can't you, will you help yourself, please? But, really the person that's going to make the difference, it doesn't matter if he rehabs or whoever telling you what. The only things that's going to make the difference is when you choose to. When you choose to, and you choose that you are not that person anymore, then you're on your way, that you can take a little step every day, and a little step. And of course, I was fortunate enough to be able to I reactivated myself in my church. And so I was around people that were the kind of people that I wanted to be around. Not, I stopped associating with people that drank all the time. So between that and really what it was, though, is my belief that, and anyone can do that. Anyone has the power to do that if they choose to, is to choose who they're going to be.
I believe that as well. Yes. And I assume that that's where the horsemanship journey came from. Was this like an epiphany that you had that like, I need to share this with other people?
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, we came up with the horsemanship journey, and as the horsemanship journey was launched, actually, let's see, when was it? Was in the fall of 2016. So it was shortly thereafter. The idea of the horsemanship journey is it kind of goes with this number 2 idea of personal responsibility, because horses are just like relationships with people. They're their own thing and they have their own free will, but it's a relationship. And we kind of look at horses, a lot of times we really don't believe that. Well, we don't take it in that really horse problem, people problems, and to the extent of our success or failure with horses is to the extent and progress of, who we are as human beings, because it's what we contribute to the relationship. A lot of times for decades, and I see people, we look at horses, or, it doesn't matter if it's horses, it could be your own personal relationship. You look at it, it's like, well, my horse won't do X, Y, Z, or my husband, whatever. And it's just, that's the way things are. All the things that happen in personal relationships, it's interesting, but they're the same with creatures, they're the same with horses. And so what the deal is that excellence in horsemanship, it begins in your mind and in your heart. And so the same principles that make you happy and give you peace and serve you as your own best friend, serve you and allow you to be a great, partner with horses in horsemanship, and allow you to, experience all that there is available. And it's amazing what's available. If you're not wrapped up in this buffering of some sort, or some messed up in all this, things that, that you draw back most of the time to our value or our worthiness. They're not, when we don't believe that, it's not a very happy world.
It brings to mind the movie 28 Days with Sandra Bullock. I'm sure you've heard of it. You had to have heard of it, where she's in rehab and the whole goal is to get the horse to lift its leg, right? To lift its hoof. And yeah, it totally reminds me of that movie.
Yep, that's it.
Because I think that's exactly the point they were trying to make in those scenes.
Yep.
So was it through your journey to sobriety that you kind of realized? I feel like there had to have been a point where something clicked in your brain that just said, I need to take responsibility. And I think that is one of the steps or part of the program, the AA program. So is that where that came from, or was there some other epiphany or situation that came that made you go, oh my God, this is my responsibility. I have control of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. Like, when do you finally realize this? And I had I'd been told this. When I was in my I don't know, maybe in my early 20s, I went to the course called The Psychology of Achievement by Brian Tracy, and I think that was in 91. That was a long time ago. And part of that is I am being responsible. He had an affirmation, I am responsible. I didn't fully quite grasp the concept. Sometimes we hear things and just can't quite, and just not have the availability at the moment to take it in. But without the alcoholic haze that I lived in for all those years, a lot of things started to become very clear very quick. And it's amazing what's available in this world. I just think that when I look at the way that when we allow other people to determine our potential and to determine our lives, a lot of times that we really don't even know that we do. And what I mean by that, Tammy, is like we allow other circumstances and other people, or just our thoughts, to hold us back so much. And rather than taking the power to make the choice to make the difference. So here's what I mean by that. In horsemanship, it could be, well, my horse won't load into a trailer, or my horse does this if I do that, or all my family on my dad's side has a short temper, so here, that's kind of the way.
I'm just born that way. It's just
That's
just
what
the
I
way
got.
it's going to be.
That's the way it is. And we just with unawareness, we kind of just go through life and just react to the things, and we have these thoughts, and we fall in line, and we march along, and we breathe and we breathe. And if we're not careful, we just keep breathing with reacting, and then we die. And the thing of it is whatever the way that I am is completely within my power to choose what my thoughts are and to make those decisions. I mean, personality just we have, and when you can fully come to understand that we have control of our thoughts, personal responsibility is such a huge, it's just a big subject. And so even areas like forgiveness, well, forgiveness, it's my responsibility because forgiveness is about me. And I'm not determined by my genes. I may have a tendency to do whatever, but between that, if I can see that, I can see that I have a thought. So if I can see myself and I'm having a temper, I can say, well, I can blame it on my family and my history and my genes, or I can say, between that is a choice. So I can change my thought about, I have the power to change my thought. Whatever you did to me, Tammany, that I'm so mad at, I can change my thought about what you did, and I determine what I'm gonna think about that, and what I think about it is gonna determine how I feel about it. And if I feel different, I might not be shouting at you all the time, and I'm probably gonna have a better outcome. And as you begin to, as the cloud of the haze of the negative behavior, whatever it is that you have done, or let's just, even if something has happened to you, is just start to crawl away from that, accept responsibility for your feelings and your actions. As you start to step away from that, things become clearer, and you begin to see what's available. And if I have one message to the world, the message is that it is possible to have more and do more, and that you actually can do it, because your value and mine and every soul on this is immeasurable. And it doesn't matter what you've done. There is nothing, I believe in God, and I believe that everything, nearly every single thing that you can do is forgivable. And so if that is the case, then, and I believe it, and that's the way that this makes sense to me, that all have the same value. And if you believe in your value, you believe that, and if you understand that you can determine who you want to be, and you surround yourself with people that have those same beliefs, you can walk to a happier place. You can step by step and get there. And I'm proof that I can walk out of a detox after 3 days, after 23 plus years of daily, without fail, drinking way to excess, into just nausea and doing all the stupid, disgusting, shameful, so much shame, wrapped around this behavior, that you can step to a happier place where, and it changes. It's not only a good idea. I don't even think it's a good idea. I think it's our duty to God and to life and to ourselves to believe in ourselves. You know why it's our duty? Because it doesn't just help us. It's everybody that we interact with on this planet has an impact of how we feel about ourselves. So it's going to be amazing for you if you're suffering, or if you're not, if you have some negative stuff that you want to change, you can start to step away from that, and you're going to have, just a tremendous realization of what you can be, because you are becoming that person. But everybody around you is going to have a positive impact, and that right there, that's worth living for.
I love that. That's very well said. It's true. And going back to your talking about forgiveness, my brother recently said to me, he's like, forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you, because it's going to take a weight off your shoulders. It's going to take that anger and resentment and whatever it is that you've had to forgive someone else for, even or yourself. I think forgiveness of yourself is huge too. That it's for you. It's not for them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great point, because you're right. Forgiveness. I really believe it's true what you just said right there, and that is that the hardest person to forgive is ourselves, and that comes back to you. It is forgivable. I need you to know that it is forgivable. Whatever you did, I don't care. It is forgivable. It's forgivable, and your value is still the same. You did something stupid. You got to fix it the best you can, and probably just don't do it anymore if it's not serving you or other people. But the thing of it is you still have the same amount of value as any other soul. So you have to learn how to forgive yourself and let it go. And that was a hard one for me. It's a hard one for most of us, because we're just so, it's like we did this, and we're wrapped in shame, and we don't want to tell anybody, and we have all this, and then we start doing it and it gets worse. And this is it. It's not a fun cycle. It's not there's a way out of this, there's a way out of this shame. This is, we were just talking about this, last night. I was just involved in this discussion, and was, well, this person did this and this and this, and I let it all go, but I'm not forgiving this one thing. I am not forgiving them for that. Was part of this conversation. I am not forgiving them for that. Well, I really don't think that whether you forgive them or not is really not involved here, but we took and analyzed that back and said, okay, well, the fact that you're not forgiving them for this one thing, how does that make you feel? Well, it makes me, feel angry and resentful. And what do you do when you feel resentful? I do these actions, and what these do, they equal what I was trying to solve. The same result of the way that I feel, the way that I felt when I felt that I was taken advantage of, that I was treated unfairly. I'm eating that for myself by just not letting that go. And if you look at, you just chose to say, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to, it doesn't make it okay. It does not make it okay. It has nothing to do with it being right and wrong. And I'm not going to be the judge of that. God can judge that later on. But what I'm saying, as far as letting that negative thing go from me, and you know what? I let it go from me, right? Just like you were describing. That's a big concept. Ourselves, number two people. Forgiveness. I mean, if we can really learn how to do that, and there's one of your keys right there, I think, to having a much peaceful existence.
I definitely agree. And regret. You haven't used the word regret, but I think regrets hold us back too, which is, why it's called Without Regret, because we have to let that go of what I did and regretting what I did. And, no, don't regret it, learn from it and move on and do better going forward. So tell me a little bit more about the Horseman's Journey and what you guys do there.
Okay, yeah. So the Horsemanship Journey, a lot of this, I'm going to make the analogy to relationship with a spouse or your friend or whatever. We all want to be good with horses, like we want to be good. I think most of us want to be good human beings, but we want to be good horsemen. We want to be good partners for our horses, with stewards and caretakers, and we want to feel like we're providing good, stable partnership and provider that they need. And a lot of us want, competition. We want to be good, and we want to develop these relationships. Really, is what we want to do with horses. And a lot of times, like I was saying, that, you know, these are all good ideas, but a lot of us aren't doing a whole bunch about it. And so what the idea of the horsemanship journey is that it's going to begin right here. So what we offer is part of the horsemanship journey is you get a personal coach with weekly sessions, and then we have a library of the best horse and horsemen in the world that I personally interviewed around this country and from people around the world as part of our resources, and their process and the way that they go about doing things, and to get the, you know, to achieve things, library of coaches, you know, on just that are videoed interviews, and also, you know, experts in human behavior. We have the horsemanship journey is interviewed. We continue that also with our podcast. So we just are launching our podcast finally. This coming up. I think the first episode goes out here in August. So we're excited about that. And so what we offer is a community of people that truly, that recognize that that want to improve, that want to be better. And so in order to do that, like I said, get the personal coach with weekly sessions, and then we have all this backup and community support to where we as individuals that want to have excellence have we have the system to be able to step towards excellence in horsemanship. And it's pretty exciting it's just like the progress, people that believe in progress, that they're not stuck and have the awareness that really want to improve, come with us and are able to step and make progress. And it's fun to watch the progress we're making. Progress with horses. Horsemanship isn't just training, you know, how to train a horse. It's everything that we do with horses and within our own life.